Ừ.
Okay, everyone. That's from a film from 1995, 1996. I think it was called Amistad. It was called Amistad. I think Steven Spielberg, who made all of the many other films, I think made this film. Yeah, 1997 is the name of the film. Let me see. I forgot to make sure I can screen share with you, so you can see the Wikipedia entry for the Amistad film, showing the Middle Passage, the slave trade. And but before I forget, let's go back to Cyber Campus and stop share and go to Cyber Campus so that we can do the attendance. And I have to find the Cyber Campus, of course. And so I thought I had it opened up, but I guess I didn't. So let me go to Wikipedia. I'm sorry, CUK, and open up the Cyber Campus site so we can do smart attendance. And then like this, and go to American history, attendance. And so let me make sure I'm sharing the screen with you. And you can see here, so we add and smart attendance, and your number is 919. 919 is your smart attendance number, 919. So let me go back to the stop the screen share and enter that number in. 919 is your number. And there you go. All right, 919. Okay, so today's a short class, so we don't have a lot of time, and there's a number of things I'd like to do today. So why don't we go directly to the assignment for the week, and that is to prepare a paragraph on this debate topic. To South Koreans, I'm going to make sure again that this is sharing. To South Koreans, the leading motivation of the leaders of the American independence movement was to gain the freedom to make more profits. And so, of course, I went through your paragraphs and I see that who was pro and who was con. So what I would need to do now is to assign you to breakout rooms. And so that I think we'll make 7 breakout rooms. The first 3 will be pro, and the bottom four will be, no, the first three will be con, and the bottom four will be, well, I don't want to make it complicated. The first four will be pro, and the last three will be con. So let me rename these pro 1, yes. Rename pro 2, yes. Rename pro 3, yes. Rename pro 4, yes. And rename this con 1, yes. Rename con 2, yes. And rename con 3, yes. And I'm going to assign you to your numbers. So, oh yeah, I forgot. I don't have the. I forgot that I don't have the. I didn't write down your names. I wrote down your the last three numbers of your identity. So let me go through it like that. Let me look through the student monitoring and find it this way. And so please bear with me as we do this. So that is, let's see, 6739 is Songun Te, Songun, oh geez, I kind of messed this up. Okay, let me just do it like this then. And 1 second here. So I have to copy the names down because that's what I have to use here. So, all right, so back to screen share. Go back there and assign to, okay, so I have to go back to that and I need 739. So 739 is Song Un Sang, Song Un Sang, Song Un Sang. We got to find Song Un Sang. Song. I'll tell you what. Maybe the best way to do this. Well, let me just go ahead and do it this way. Okay. And then 746 is Yojiun. Okay. And then assigned to room pro 2 is 758, and 758 is okay. And 763 is Chongminju. And 636 is Pyeongchong-u. Wait a second, Pyeongchong-u. There we go. And then to room 3, we assign 661, and that is Sanghyun Ho. And looking for Sanghyun, it doesn't appear to be here. So we'll forget about that. And then what about 719? 719 is, and I don't see 719. Where's 719? Don't see it. I don't see 719 here. Oh, there we go, 719. Oh, don't see it. This one. And 450 is Kim Soo-hyun. And I don't see Kim Soo-hyun logged in yet. So so not here. And then 707 is Kim Tong-un. Okay, there you go. And that's it. And then for Khan, we put in 311, who is, let's see where 311 is. And that person is Park Ji-un. Okay, and 108 is, there's 108. And I don't see 108's not logged in. 274 is, who's 274? 274 is Kim Hyun-suk. Okay, and 558 is, 558 is, and I don't see 558 logged in. Oh, 558, oh, there it is. Hyun Chung-sung. And is he here? I don't see Hyun Chung-sung logged in. Okay, and
No, I'm here.
558, Hyun Chung-sung. Well, okay, we'll have to do this later here. Fix that up later. 523 is, where's 523? 523 is Chang Ji-hye. And Chang Ji-hye. Okay, we'll add in Khan. And around in Con 2, we assign 5, I think 523. We already did that. 258. 258 is, there's 258. Don't see 258 here. I don't see 258. Oh, there. UGE. And I don't see her here. I don't see her logged in. And 375 is, let me see, it's 375. 375, I don't see 375 is here. I don't see 375 on the list. Don't see 375. Okay, well, I think that's where we'll have to start. And so we'll open all the rooms and prepare your statements. Please join the rooms. And some of you are not assigned, so let me assign you now if you came in late or whatever. So Owen Tech. Tech. I don't see Owen Tech. It's 108. 108 is Khan. So I'll sign Con 2. I'll sign you to Con 2. Okay. Kim Tong-yoon. Kim Tong-yoon is 661, and 661 is Pro. So I'll sign you to Pro 1. And G1U is, where's G1U? G1U. Just don't see G1U here.
I'm here, sir.
Yeah, well, what are you, pro or con in your essay? Were you pro or con, G1U, on your essay? Did you write pro or con?
I wrote pro.
Okay, then I'll assign you to Pro 2. Pak Chung-hyun, were you pro or con on your essay?
Con.
Okay, then I'll add you to Con 2. And Kim Chon-soo, were you pro or con on your essay?
Oh.
Kim Chon-soo, were you pro or con?
Oh.
Pro? Okay, I will assign you to Pro 3. And Chung Min-ju, were you pro or con on your essay?
I was pro, sir.
Okay, I'll assign you to Group 4. And Hwan Chung-sung, were you pro or con on your essay?
I was con.
Oh, you were con. Okay, then I will add you to Con 2. And since there's only one group here, I'll rename you we'll move you to Pro 3. Okay, so please join your rooms. And of course, Con is going to speak a little bit more because fewer people wrote for Con than for Pro. And let me flip a coin to see who's going to speak first for each group. And so if it's heads, it is the bottom, tails, it's the top. And it is tails. So heads, it's number 1, tails number 2. And it's the second person each group will speak for each group. So prepare. So for Pro 1, it's Song Hyun Oh will speak first for Pro 1. For Pro 2 will be Sang Min-ju Song Min-ju, sorry. And for Pro 3, it's Kim Chon-soo. And for Con 1, it's Park Ji-un. And for Con 2, it's Oh Tek. And so please go to your rooms and prepare to make your debate statements. And we will start our tag team class debate in 1 minute. So do you want me to be pro or con on this? The first person, first come, first serve. Should I be pro or con on the question? Assign me a position, pro or con. Am I pro or con? Anyone? Anyone? If you're not going to sign me, I'll flip a coin. Heads, I'm pro, tails, I'm con. And I am con. I will prepare a con statement on this question. And so you're in your breakout rooms and so prepare to speak. And the question again is, to South Koreans, the leading motivation of the leaders of American independence movement was to gain the freedom to make more profits. Okay. I have my statement ready. So now we go back to the rooms and stop share and breakout rooms and close all rooms. You have 1 minute. Have 30 seconds. And then we'll vote at the end of the debate as to who won the debate. All right, so that's it. So who's going to speak first? For pro will always speak first. So heads, it's pro 1, and it's tails. So heads, it's pro 2, and it's tails. So pro 3. So Kim Chon-soo, please, what did your group, what is your argument as to why profits were the main motivation for the American independence leaders? Kim Chon-soo? Where is Kim Chon-soo? Turn on your videos, please, so I can see you.
Yes.
Okay, and Kim, and unmute yourself. So Kim Chon-soo, please make your statement.
Yeah, I think independent movement
Turn on your video.
supporters.
Please turn on your video. So we can actually see you, okay? You know, this is how we do things in the professional world. We present ourselves. So Kim Chon-soo, go ahead. Kim Chon-soo, go ahead.
I think independent movement supporters turned their antipathy to Britain and still exploit the public. So
Can you explain further? And please hold the microphone away from your mouth. We can't hear you because of the breath. So say again.
independent movement supporters turned their
Don't
antipathy
hold the
to
microphone. It's fine without holding it. I can hear you. Go ahead, speak.
Britain and still exploit the public.
So what it was for profits primarily?
Yeah,
Why?
because they still exploit the public.
Well, I wrote. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I wrote later. Let me now go to the con side, and the con group. Who will speak first for con? So heads, it's con 1, and it is heads. So Pak Ji-un, please speak for con as to why the profits were not the primary motivation for the American independence struggle. Pak Ji-un, please speak.
Yes, Professor. Actually, we all are in con position because there are several reasons. When America was under England, I mean, when America was colony of the England, there were so many pressure and violence. So, to overcome those things, America did did it, I think.
The oppression of the British. So the Americans were oppressed by the British.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, were they oppressed because they thought they could make more money if the British left? Is that the kind of oppression that the Americans suffered, or were they suffering political oppression? Were they suffering humiliation? Does anybody from pro want to add, want to counter Khan's statement? If not, then we will go to the next pro statement. And so I think, who was that? That was Kim Chon-soo spoke. So heads, it's pro is pro 1, and it's tails, so pro 2. So Song Min-ju, where's Song Min-ju? Song Min-ju, where's Song Min-ju? Song Min-ju. That's you, Song Min-ju. Turn on your video, Song Min-ju. Song Min-ju, speak. Song Min-ju. She says her microphone is not working. Okay, so let me choose someone else from Pro 2. Heads, it's Pyeon Chung-woo. And it's tails. Heads, it's Lee Hyun. And it's heads, so Lee Hyun. Speaking for Pro 2. Start your video. Okay, so make your statement, please.
The people who signed the Declaration of Independence were also in the management class in the British Empire, and they might expect to the competition with the British disappeared and more freedom was served after the independence. And according to the page 59 of the history or people's history of the United States, we can see they found that by creating a nation, a symbol, a regal unite called the United States, it could take over land, profit, and political power from favorite of the British Empire. So we think that the leader of the American independence movement was to gain the freedom to make more profit for them.
Yeah, I think that's what Howard Zinn points out, that the American colonists, they really wanted to move west and take the land further west in North America that the Indians were living in. But the British didn't want any trouble. The British military, the British government didn't want any trouble with the Indians. So they forbid the American colonists from moving out west to take those Indian lands. But the Americans really wanted to take that land because there was tremendous natural wealth waiting to be exploited. But the British would not allow them because the British did not want any kind of political trouble with the Indians and their competitors in North America, France. And I think Howard Zinn makes that point that most of the American Indians who are fighting in the French and Indian War, the 7 Years' War, as it's called in Europe, and then 2 decades later in the American Independence War, most of them fought for the French. Most of them fought against the colonists because they knew what the colonists wanted to do. They knew the colonists wanted to expand out west and take their land, and that, in fact, they did. Almost immediately after the British gave up in the Independence War, George Washington, the new president of the United States, he sent a general to defeat the Indians in what is today my home state of Ohio. In the early 1790s, so almost immediately after the war was over, the Americans started sending their military to occupy the Indian lands. So you could say that's true evidence that the Americans, they saw all this wealth and they couldn't take it because the British wouldn't let them. And of course, I'm not saying all Americans were that way. There were many Americans who did not want independence from Britain. I don't really know what the number is. Supposedly, the claim is that somewhere up to maybe 1/4 or 1/3 of the American population in the colonies, the white population, left North America and moved to Canada because they did not want to be independent from Britain, right? So there was but there were many people that wanted that land and resented the British not allowing the Americans to expand, not allowing them to move out west and use and take the resources from the Indians there. Okay, so let me go back to Khan. And so we had, I think Khan 2 was the next one. I think, was it Khan 2? I should write this down, which group spoke. So Khan 2 will speak next. And Owen Tech, what did your group, what's your response as Khan, Owen Tech?
We didn't get the correct answer. At that time, Americans opposed unfair taxation, causing the Boston Tea case, and campaigning for independence. At this point, they are said to have campaigning for independence for economic freedom, but inside them, there was also a saying that a small island, Britain, would not be able to do so against the United States, a huge continent. Economic freedom could only be an excuse.
Okay. And all right. And so Pro, I think we had Pro is heads and Pro 1 is heads, and it's Pro 1. So Song Hyun Oh, can you speak for Pro 1, please?
Yeah. At that time, Britain had exclusive right to profit from America, and also they prohibited American expanding to West. So I think American independence leaders had complaints about it. If there is no Britain, they can take every profit rather than sharing profit with Britain. So most of American independence movement leaders were upper and middle class, so they had privilege to earn the profits. Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to respond on the con side to that claim that basically, I mean, the Americans, you know, they saw great opportunities, economic opportunities. The leaders of the American Independence War saw great economic opportunities for themselves if they got the British out of the way. Instead of the money going to London, the money would go to them. And so let me see who's going to respond. Heads is group Con 1 and it's heads. So that's Chong Ji Hei. Chong Ji Hei, what is your response to what Pro just stated?
I think America formed based on their political tradition of United States as a democratic country. George Washington performed the duties of a president that was not specified in the Constitution, including the cabinet system and the establishment of a central bank. Also, the tax system was reorganized and the veto granted to the president was exercised to keep the US Congress in check. And the Pro stated that the American independence activists thought that they could get an economic profit, but the United States enacted the Anti-Solicitation Act by recasting Congress, and that is a bill that immediately dismisses people from public office if they are found to have violated the solicitation. So I think that Anti-Solicitation Act is is showing that how clean was the United States politic was. So I disagree with that statement.
So it sounds like you're saying, yeah, I mean, of course, in the world in general, 80% of the social interaction of human beings is economics and business and profit and money and economic oriented. The Americans, yeah, they wanted to gain more profit, but what really irritated them and made them fight a war. I mean, war is a terrible, terrible thing. This has never been done before. I mean, to break away from a ruling European empire in the modern period, this is the first time this has happened. The Americans are going to go to war with Britain. They don't know what's going to happen. War is very, very dangerous, very, very horrible. And so they must have been really upset. And they were upset. Yeah, of course, they were upset about not being able to do what they wanted to do. And what they wanted to do was make more profit. Yeah, sure. But what really irritated them was that they did not want to be told what to do by London. They did not want London to tell them what to do, even if it wasn't very economically costly. Like the point was made, I think, in some of the other work, that the taxation that London put on the Americans in the Stamp Act and the Tea Act and there wasn't that much of a burden. It wasn't an economic high cost to the Americans, but it insulted the Americans because for 150 years, from the beginning of the 17th century until the end of the 18th century or the middle of the 18th century, the Americans were pretty much left alone. Yeah, they were still part of the British Empire, and the British had some soldiers there, but they pretty much did what they wanted to do. They weren't supposed to do business and trade with the French Empire or the Spanish Empire, but they did anyway. Nobody really stopped them or interfered with them. And then the French and Indian War happened in the middle of the 18th century, or what's called the 7 Years' War, which was maybe the first world war, that the British Empire and the French Empire, they fought that war everywhere in the world, all the continents of the world except Antarctica, because they were fighting for who was going to be the dominant economic imperial power. And this was a really costly consequence for the British. This war was expensive. And they wanted the Americans to pay more of the money for the costs of keeping the big British army that now had to stay in, or the British soldiers that had to stay in North America. They wanted the Americans to pay for it. When the British, before the war, they really hadn't been a big presence, but now they were a big presence because they had just fought a war with the other superpower of the time, the French, and they could fight another war again soon. The French were not done fighting the British. So the British started trying to make the Americans pay more money and becoming more involved in running and governing and directing the American colonies, which they really hadn't done up until the middle of the 18th century. They just let the Americans do what they wanted to do. And this is what caused the Americans to react, that now all of a sudden the British are acting like they're really controlling the place. The cost of the expenses of the war with France were high, and the British did not want to tax their own people to pay for it. So they wanted to tax the Americans. And the French, were in intense competition with the British. I mean, the French became involved in the war against Britain for American independence, so that, for example, the French provided almost all of the gunpowder. They provided all of the gunpowder for the Americans to fight the British. They provided nearly half the troops at the end of the war. Nearly half the troops fighting the British Army at the end of the Independence War were French troops under Lafayette, the French general. The French Navy played a critical role in stopping the British Navy and supplying the British Army fighting that war. So would the Americans have won without French help? I don't know. But the point is, this is really expensive. And the Americans paid a high price for this. According to one estimate I saw, 1% of the American population died in the Independence War. So 1 out of every 100 people died in North America in that war. I mean, that's a lot for early modern warfare. And according to one other source, I haven't verified this elsewhere, It took 30 years after the Independence War, 30 years for the American economy to recover to what it was before the war, as a consequence of the costs of the war, the destruction of the war, and the disruption of the international trade that the American colonies had as a consequence of the war. It took 30 years for the American economy to recover from the Independence War. 30 years. So again, that's one source I read said that. And who paid those costs? I don't know. I do know, like I said, after the war was over, the Americans immediately went to war with the Indians and started taking their lands in Ohio, what is my home state of Ohio, right? So, but I mean, if one's going to argue this all about profit and money, the Americans paid almost all of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence, almost all of them lost everything in the war because the British hunted them down. The British Army hunted those people down that signed the Declaration of Independence. And if they didn't find them, they still found their land and farms and destroyed it. They lost everything. So, yeah, the Americans wanted the freedom to make more money, but what really irritated them is they did not want the British telling them how to make more money. They don't want anybody to tell them what to do. And so that's what I wrote in my con statement. And so I think in the time remaining, we should go now to the vote to make sure that I don't forget the vote and ask you to vote on the debate topic. So please vote on the debate topic. Pro or con or neutral cannot decide as to whether or not to South Koreans, the leading motivation of the leaders of the American independence movement was to gain the freedom to make profits. And we'll just do this for a little bit here. And so we have 12 people have so far voted. Looks like pro's going to win. Okay. And pro, okay, well, I guess that's about it. And I got to make sure that you can see the share screen. I forgot to make sure that I do the share screen again here. So yeah, so let me show you here. And okay. Okay, so what I want to do now, and let me see if I can go back to the breakout rooms, is prepare for the next class. And the next class is we're going to write the American Constitution. We're going to write the American Constitution. So I need to go to participants and send you all a chat of a couple of files. So let me open up the files here. And so we're going to write the American Constitution. And the American Constitution is, let me see if I can make this more visible here. We're going to have an American Constitutional Convention. And I'm going to assign you to different roles in this American Constitutional Convention. And there are 5 different groups of people that will be represented at the American Constitutional Convention. And so, let me see, I want to recreate, let me see, I just want to, I want to close the groups and just stop the breakout room. Okay, delete room. Yes, so delete room 1. So what I want to do now is to send you a file for you to study. And this is the burning issues at the American Constitutional Convention that the writers of the Constitution have to debate in writing the American Constitution. And let me see if I can find the right files here. And I'm looking for the, okay, here it is. So you all are receiving this file. And so the 5 different groups are coming together at the American Constitution to address these issues. So you've won the war from Britain, at least for now. And now you have to debate how are you going to set up the government of the new United States of America? And here are 4 critical issues that you need to debate. Slavery. Right now, slavery is legal in some states, but not in others. Let me go back and highlight a little bit of context. Before the American Constitutional Convention, the Americans did have a government in place, and the government in place was formed during the American Civil War under the Articles of Confederation. So the Articles of Confederation were adopted by the 13 colonies as they combined together to fight this war. And this Articles of Confederation, you know, it was sufficiently effective to allow the 13 original states of the United States to bring their resources together in order to fight the British with the help of the French. But the Articles of Confederation, which were adopted, you know, at the Second Continental Congress on November 1777, at the start of the war, they were still giving predominance to the state governments, right? In order to decide something, for example, an overwhelming majority of the 13 colonies had to agree. The government of the new United States of America did not have the power to tax. The government of the United States of America did not have the power to issue a single currency. If the government of the United States of America under the Articles of Confederation wanted money, each of the 13 colonies had to agree to give some money to the United States government. And this was sufficient to fight the Independence War, but it was not. But when the war was over, there was high debt. The US government, United States government, owed lots of money to lots of different people who loaned the US government money, individual farmers and others who bought bonds from the US government to fund the war effort with the promise that, you know, if I buy a bond from the United States government, a bond to fund the war, say I buy it for $100, in 10 years, I'll get $100 plus $1 back. That kind of interest rate bond, like governments do today to fund their budget deficits, right? That's how the US government raised money. Another way the US government raised money to be able to pay for an army, right? And pay for the costs of the war. And then the war was over, and they have to pay off these bonds. They had to pay off these loans to individual farmers, individual companies and the like that had bought these bonds, and the central government did not have the ability to pay, to raise taxes. It couldn't even issue its own currency, its own money, and it did not even have the ability to raise its own army, because the war was over and the army disbanded, went back to the soldiers went back to their home states, and there wasn't really much of an army at all. And there was an economic crisis that happened after the war, when the prices of agricultural goods went way down, and a lot of these farmers rebelled against the banks that had loaned them money to pay back the loans, because they didn't have any money, because there was an economic recession. And there was a rebellion led by Shays. He was a former soldier in the American Independence War. And he led a rebellion of Massachusetts farmers and others against the banks and against the state government of Massachusetts, because the banks were trying to take their farm away because they couldn't pay back the loans that they took from the bank, partly because they were not getting paid back for their bonds that they bought and purchased to fund the American Independence War, and because of the economic recession that happened after the Independence War was over. And so there was a rebellion by these farmers, many of them former veterans who fought in the war, and the US government was unable to suppress this rebellion. there was no army. They were unable to stop these rebels from attacking Springfield, Massachusetts. So the American rich people, they ended up having to pay mercenaries and others to create a commercial, a mercenary army to put down this rebellion. And this led the Americans to leaders to say, we need to have a stronger central government. We need to have a stronger central government in order to be able to manage our affairs more effectively, in order to be able to pay back debts and to raise an army, and also to colonize this area, this territory that the British evacuated after the war. And so they come together to write the new American Constitution to replace the Articles of Confederation. And I sent you the file of the issues that they have to consider at this Constitutional Convention. And I downloaded that file. I'm trying to find where it went. Let's see if I can find it. So here is the file. And these are the issues. Some of these rebels who rebelled, they want to be able to pay back their debts to the banks, not in money, but in agricultural produce like cows, pigs, tobacco, and corn, because they couldn't get enough money by selling their products, by selling their cows, by selling their pigs, by selling their tobacco, because the prices were depressed. And so they couldn't get enough money to pay their loans. So they wanted to pay the bank directly back pay the banks with their own produce, with their cows and pigs, rather than with money. Should that be allowed? Many bonds were issued during the Revolution by the Continental Congress to pay soldiers and letters. Should these bonds be paid back in full, or just a small amount for each dollar, just to those to whom they were originally issued, or not at all? So these rebels were rebelling partly because they were not getting paid back for their loans. And so, and of course, we're out of time here. And so currently there is no national law determining who should be allowed to vote in elections. Some states require people to own a certain amount of property to vote. Only one state, New Jersey, allows women to vote. In most states, Black people may not vote even if they are free. Who should be allowed to vote in general elections? So those are the issues that we're going to address at the Constitutional Convention. And what I'm going to do now is assign you to 5 different groups and go like this, assign automatically. And I'm going to call this group 1 our planters. Group 2 are farmers. Group 3 are bankers, merchants. Group 4 are workers. And room 5 are enslaved people. And so please go to your rooms. Please go to your rooms that you have been assigned to. And I'm going to have to do this maybe later and send you each a file. Okay. And enters here. Sorry, let me leave the room. And I can't do it like that. Okay, I have to join the rooms. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have to send it to you individually, okay? So I'll send you after later on today the files for your groups. I know which groups you're in because I took a picture. All right, I took a picture of which groups you're in, and I'll send you each the the files, it looks like I can't really send a file just to one group at a time. I thought I could, or broadcast a message to, yeah. Okay, well, I'll have to send you the files afterwards. So that's it for today. And I will send you a file later on today. Okay, each of you a file later on today. So talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.